object then? Object is the one which gets created. Like I told you, constructor is responsible for constructing the object, Aditi. So when you say S1 is equal to subscriber, subscriber will be constructing an object. You see, when I say A is equal to 10, tell me what is happen here now. When I say A is equal to 10, okay, when I write A is equal to 10 here, tell me which is the object now. A is equal to 10. Yeah, an object with a value 10, right? And A will be a reference. So that's what we call, that's what we referred as. Now, when you say S1 is equal to subscriber, you are making a subscriber object now. You're making a subscriber object, Aditi. Okay, and S1 will be a reference to that. Okay, so that's what it means. Yeah, that's true, guys. That's true. And there was a question like how the local variable amount working. Okay, I'll show you the local variable amount is working. When you pass 500, guys, okay, then it will go to a local variable or an argument called amount, and that will be added with the balance every time. Like whenever I call deposit, that 500 will go for into amount, which is a temporary variable, and that every time that amount value will be added into the balance. So balance is a attribute, but our class was subscriber as well. Yeah, but I didn't got your question, Aditi. Like our class is subscriber as well means, like class name was subscriber as well. Yeah, generally class name is subscriber. Class does not followed by parenthesis. Okay, class does not follow by parenthesis. That's why always they will be like built-in thing get created with the same name as class name. Okay, so you're invoking that thing, and that name of that person is called name of that functional function is called constructor, which is named as same name as class. Okay, and you can invoke with the class name. That's what it means, Aditi. Okay, that's the thing. It implicitly gets created, and his job is to construct the thing, and it will be say you can invoke them with a class name followed by parenthesis. He will understand. Whenever the class followed by parenthesis, he will understand that you are trying to invoke the constructor. That's a way of communication. Okay, that's a way of communication. If you write only subscriber, then it's a class. Yeah, thank you, Aditi. Thank you for your question. I hope Satyam, how can we take user value in shell? I will show you, Satyam. The next thing I will show you how amount is equal to deposit. We can define as deposit. Sorry, Rajshekhar. A little more clarity about it. You are discussing about amount, I understood. But if you can make it little more clarity, like which line you want me to explain. Where I'm writing amount is equal to deposit. I didn't wrote amount is equal to deposit. Can you tell me the line number? Is this line you're talking about? Deposit method. Okay, so here deposit is a method, and we are actually passing two arguments actually. The first argument is the object address, and the second argument is the value, the amount value. Okay, you can take any name actually. So it's an amount value. So that's why you see the deposit is taking two arguments. The deposit is taking two arguments. The first argument is self, which is the address of the current object, which is the address of the current object, and next is the amount. Next is the amount here. Okay, so that way what happens that 500 first address will be stored in self, and next 500 will be stored in amount. 500 will be stored in amount. So that's where the amount will be added and to the balance. Please, if you have still any question, ask me. I hope it's very straightforward that I'm passing it something like you're calling the function and passing the value. Can we pass two local variables at a time? Yes, you can pass any number of values. It's something like we learn in functions, Rajshekhar. Yeah, thank you, Satyam. But let me make it clear. Like it's something like you call this sum function. If you remember, we call the add function. When we pass 2 comma 3, then you define the add function like this: add a comma b. Okay, then you wrote the logic here for adding the number. So it means that your first argument will be stored in a and second argument will be stored in b, right? So similarly, here I am passing one argument but accepting two because implicitly one is getting passed. That's what we learn. Okay, and then 500 will be stored in the amount. We can pass more arguments if required, depends on the program. We can also pass arguments, yeah, of course, Satya. We can also pass something like that. Okay, yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, so good. So this is what about yesterday's session. I hope everything is clear. Let me go and introduce you the next concept. Okay, let me go here and introduce you the next concept. So can I check once, like everyone, you all understood both the programs? Believing no questions so that I can go for next topic. Yeah, thank you, Aditi. Thank you, Abhishek. Yeah, thank you, Rajshekhar, Nitin, Satyam. I think more of your doubts will get cleared because still we haven't completed the basic concepts of object-oriented programming. We learn only how to define the object. I mean, how to define a class, how to define the methods. Okay, how to create an object, and how to define attributes. Okay, we learn that way. Yeah, Shikawats, I just did a revision, no problem. Okay, it's good that you have joined and now you can learn the next concept. Okay, so we learn how to create attributes and values in Python. I shown you one way, and that's what Satyam is actually Santosh here. I think Santosh or Satyam has asked me. Yeah, Satyam, we're asking like how to take. Yeah, Satyam. So you're asking like how to take the values from user. So I'm going to show you how to take the values from the user. Okay, how to take the values from the user. One way is Satyam, I can write that value here itself. I can write input directly, right? I can write like this, no problem. This is how I can take the value from the user now. I can say enter name. Okay, yes, like the way we used to take before, exactly same. That's true, Aditi. But only thing on the left hand side, I will be giving c1 dot name. Okay, same with account number, same with balance. So that way I can accept from user, Satyam. Okay, that's the only thing. So right, instead of giving the values directly, it's for demonstration purpose. Okay, so that's why I'm not taking input from user. So all in object oriented programs, you'll see that I'm not going to take input from user because the program itself is so big. Okay, I will demonstrate the program now. So I will be taking the values directly. I will be taking the values directly, but it will be same whatever you learn how we take input from user. It will remain same. It will remain same. But also we learn one thing that if I create 10 objects now, every time giving a value like this is not acceptable, right? So that's what we concluded yesterday, that giving a value, okay, like this, or creating the attributes like this is not going to be good, because for having three attributes it's okay. Okay, imagine, okay, the problem with this approach is lack of reusability of the code. Lack of reusability of the code. For example, of an object has suppose 10 attributes and we have 10 objects now. Then what we have to do, we have to write 100 lines of code. 100 lines of code unnecessary. Okay, every time I have to write 10 lines of code to assign the values of the object, and we will be writing 100 lines of code. So we need a way to mention the attributes of all the objects in one place. Actually, we wanted that all these attributes to be be taken in one place actually. So for that reason, I will be introducing you one of the very special method which is responsible for initializing these objects, actually initializing the attributes. To initialize these attributes, okay, Python has given you one special method. So I will remove these now. I will remove these values and I'll be removing these attributes now. So I'm going to initialize these values at the common place. And what is that common place? The common place is nothing but there is a special method. Why it is special method? It is a special method because it has been already present, and it is getting called every time, but previously it's doing nothing, but now I can write it again and I can tell them, please initialize my attributes now. Please initialize these attributes. Now I can create a method called def, okay, and the name of that special method is underscore underscore init underscore underscore. The special name of this special method is underscore underscore init underscore underscore. Why it is something different from get balance, deposit and withdraw? Why we are having this underscore underscore? Because it is predefined method. That makes difference between user defined methods and the predefined methods. So similarly, we have many predefined methods, guys. We'll talk about few of them, but today I will be introducing you one special method called underscore underscore init underscore underscore. Okay, now this method obviously will take one parameter self, because it gets called with the another speciality of this method is it will get called automatically when the constructor gets called. Okay, yeah, kind of thing with it. So it will automatically gets called whenever you call the constructor. Yeah, kind of constructor, you can say Ubul, but it's not exactly the constructor, it's called initializer method. Some people call it as a constructor because it do the same job as a constructor do in other languages, okay, but its main responsibility is for initializing the attributes. Its main responsibility is to initialize the attributes. Now I will say here self dot name is equal to, I will give the name as Ubul. I will give the name as Ubul. I will say self dot, okay, account number is equal to, I'll give 1234 as an account number, and I will say self dot balance is equal to 500 as a balance, or 1000 as a balance, 1000 as a balance now. So as you can see now, instead of initializing at every place, instead of initializing for every object, I have initialized in one place, because what happens at line number 1 means C1 is equal to bang. What happens at this line is it will call this init method and pass the address of the object now. Pass the address of the object. So that init method is responsible for creating, means constructor is responsible for constructing that object, and then it automatically calls the init method after that to initialize the attributes. The init method is responsible for initializing the attributes, and it will create the attributes whatever you have given here now. Now you will have common attributes, one thing, and also I am not defining with every object, I have defined in one place now. I have defined in one place now. Okay, now if I run this program, you know what will be the output now? Look at the program and tell me what will be the output now. I created a C1 as bank and I deposited 500. I say get balance, it will print me the balance now. Okay, and C2 is equal to bank, and C2 dot withdraw 700 and C2 dot get balance. C2 dot get balance. What will be the output of this program now? Okay, that's looking good, SK. But let me say C with others as well. Making object from underscore underscore init underscore underscore. Object init underscore underscore is not responsible for making object Satyam. It is responsible for initializing the attributes, creating the attributes and initializing the attributes. That's the responsibility. Yeah, I'll scroll up. This is my init method. Okay. Thank you, Satyam. Shikawat says, sir, what happened when the balance is increased or decreased? Then init value will change. No. Init value will get called only one time, Shikawat. It will get called only one time. The first time the init method gets called when you create the object, and second time when you create the second object. So remember, init method gets called automatically, and that is only once. Only once. Aditi, actually the responsibility of init method is to create the attributes and fill the attributes. Like see what is happening at this line. I told you C1 is equal to bank. At this line, the constructor is getting called. The constructor is getting called. Let me tell you what happens now. Let me tell you what happens in the diagram. Okay, so when I say C1 is equal to bank, when I say C1 is equal to bank, at this line, let me tell you what is happening. Let me explain you what is happening at this line. So when I say C1 is equal to bank, first constructor constructs the object. Constructor, it constructs the object first of all. Constructs the object. Construct the object means create the object. It will create the object now, first of all. Listen very carefully what is happened when I say C1 is equal to bank. This is what happened implicitly, guys. It will construct the object. It will construct the object. And after constructing the object, it will assign the reference to C1. Okay. Return address. Return address. Okay. Return address. Return the address and assign to C1, or that is okay, you can understand very easily. Construct the objects and assign to C1. Assign to C1, that you can say. Construct the object and assign to C1. And assign to C1. That I can say. That is the first thing. And second thing, what happens? Implicitly calls underscore init underscore okay method. It implicitly calls underscore init method. Okay, and if you define, then your method gets called. If it is not defined, the implicit method gets called and does nothing. But if you have your own underscore init underscore method, then what it will do is it actually creates, okay, init underscore method create attributes. Okay, it create attributes and initialize the values. Create attributes and initialize the values. So whatever the attributes you have written inside that method, self.name, self.account number, self.balance, that attributes gets created. Name, account number, and balance. It will fill the data like Ubul 1234 and 1000 as an account. Okay, so that is what happening now. So 1000 will be like default. Yeah. Ubul balance will never change. Yeah, kind of Shikawat. Kudal, I don't know like what you're asking. Okay, you think the output will be 1500 and 800. Okay, I do agree. We can say S1, C1 refer to class bank address. Yes. And C1 is a reference pointing to that object what you just created. During creation of object, init method will be called. Yes, that's true, Kudal. During the creation of object, these two things will happen, guys. Construct the object and assign the address to C1. Implicitly calls underscore init underscore method. And what this method does, it creates the attribute and initialize the value. That's what the name called init method. It is responsible for initializing. It is responsible for initializing. Understood, everyone? Any other questions? So values it takes by itself. Which values you are talking, Aditi? Which values you are talking? Yeah, we are defining here. We need to define the attributes. That is our responsibility. You need to tell them what are the attributes actually. What are the attributes? Actually, okay. Let me just go and execute and then you will get little clarity about it. I'll just go and execute here. You'll get little clarity about it. When I say self.name and everything, so what happens now? Let me explain you diagrammatically. C1 object got created at line number 1. This is what happened, guys. The diagram proves you what happens at line number 1. A C1 object gets created. Okay, so this is what happens at line number 1, guys. This is what happened in line number 1. When I say C1 is equal to bank, when I say C1 is equal to bank, then the memory gets allocated. Okay, so it constructs the object and assigned to C1, and 3 attributes gets created: name, account number, and balance, and this 3 data will be filled off. This 3 data will be filled off. Okay, very good. Now next line, I call the deposit. The deposit gets called. It will deposit the amount. It will add the amount to that. So what happens now? Deposit method access to this object because it has the address called self. So this value will get changed to something like 1500. That's true. This value will get changed to 1500. That is what deposit will do. Get balance will print you the balance. It will print you Ubul, your current balance is so and so. Perfectly fine. Up to here it's perfectly working. But what is happening when I say C2 is equal to bank? When I say C2 is equal to bank now, when I say C2 is equal to bank here, okay, when I write C2 is equal to bank, C2 is equal to bank again, then the same thing again happens. Construct the object. Let me show you again now. Construct the object and assign to C2 now. Okay, so it will construct the object here. It will construct the object something like this. Again, it will construct the object. Okay, construct the object, and the address will be assigned to C2. The address will be assigned to C2 now. So C2 will be pointed and it will have this own address. And then what it will call? It will implicitly call the init method. Now the init method of that class gets called now. And init method is creating 3 objects now: name, account number, and balance. So it's creating 3 objects now. So it will create 3 objects here: name, okay, account number, and balance. But as I didn't remember, but one of you told that it will have the same value as well. So this object is also going to have Ubul as the name, and 1, 2, 3, 4 as the account number, and balance as 1000. Balance as 1000. That's very good, Venkat. That it also created with the same attributes and also the same values, Venkat. Creating same attribute is not a problem. We wanted to have the same attribute. That is a reason, but it will also get created with the same values. That is the problem here. It gets created with the same value. So that's why when I call withdraw, okay, it withdraw the amount, okay, no problem, and get balance will again print that Ubul, your current balance. There are 2 objects, but both of them having the same name. The output will be same. So that's why when I run this code now, you see it's printing you that Ubul, your current balance is 1500. Ubul, your current balance is 1500, and we got the low balance. And Ubul, your current balance is 1000. So both are same customer. Are they same customer, guys? Are they same customer? Okay, I just removed this print statement. Okay, no, right? So we need to have a different data for different customers. Yeah, treated as same customer because both the customers got filled with the same data. Both the customer got filled with the same data. So how to overcome this problem? How to solve this problem so that every customer will have a different name or different values actually? No. Even we input from user, Abhishek. Okay. Okay, Abhishek says that input from user. Okay. Okay, very good, very good. Aditi was telling we should mention that explicitly. Okay, so now I'll tell you how to do that. What you do is, okay, whenever you're constructing the object, it is possible that you can pass the data here. You can pass the data to init method. Now what init method is doing? The init method creates the attribute and initialize the value, okay, to whatever it has been assigned. But basically the init method can also take the parameters, and you can send the parameters and it will initialize whatever you are sending. Now here I can send Ubul, okay, I can send the value, like for example the account number, and I can send the balance here. Now I can send the balance. So this time the constructor is not only constructing the object, it is also taking the values to initialize. So here what I will do is I will also accept them. I will accept in name, I will accept in account number, I will accept in balance. You can give different names, but always it's good to give the same name as an attribute because you will not get confused. I'll say name here. I will initialize the account number. I will initialize the account number. I will initialize the balance. Now, this is going to fill the different values now. So this is going to fill different values. So now when we create the second object, we will fill the different values. Whether you accept from user or whether you fill directly, that is not the question here. The question is not whether should we accept from user or we fill directly. The question is, okay, that how to give different values for different object. And this is the way you can give different values to different object. I'll say 500 now, or I will say 2000, and you want to withdraw 700, no problem. Now if I run this code, I will be getting the correct result. You see, Ubul, your current balance is 1500, Vamshi, your current balance is 1300. It's perfectly working now. So this is how your actual class looks like. This is my complete program for class and object. So I have everything required now. I have everything required in this program. Okay. So what are the things required in this program? Okay, we created 4 methods actually. 4 methods we created. What are the 4 methods we created? Init method, get balance method, deposit method, withdraw method. 4 methods. And how many attributes? 3 attributes: name, account number, and balance. Name, account number, and balance. So I created 3 attributes, 4 methods. One is called init method, which is a special method for especially for initializing the attributes. Okay, account numbers, separate name, separate so on. Then yes, Satyam, I don't like. It's okay. You can take input here and then pass as well. You can write input here and you can pass the data as well. Okay, it's up to you. I told you as it is demonstration purpose, so I will not be taking input from user in these programs. Okay, so don't get confused with taking input. You can always take input from the user if you want. Before constructing the object, you can take input and send the data if you want. That is totally acceptable. But here I have to show you the values, so that's why I'm taking the values directly, because this is for demonstration purpose. I'm not creating 100 objects here. I'm taking 2-3 objects and then demonstrating. Okay. So because same name, but data are different. Yes, Vishwajit. Attributes will have a same name. Yeah, no, Kudal, that's not a good option actually. Taking input from in the init method is not a good option. Taking input in the init method is not a good option. So we will never do that, because init method is responsible for initializing and takes the arguments. It takes the arguments. So we need to mention the argument, because we never, we never take the input in the class, Kudal. That's the idea. We never take the input in the class because classes can never be used. So we take the input in the main method and then pass it. Okay. So main script will take the input and then pass it. That's what the idea. So we will not be taking there. Otherwise, it will be a good solution. If you have more attributes, all the attributes need to pass in the init method. That's true, Santosh. That's true, right? That is what happened when you go to bank, right? Whenever you go to bank, you fill the form, right? That is what actually you're doing. You're passing the data means you're trying to fill the form. That comes later, guys. At least in object-oriented programming, there is no use of underscore underscore main underscore underscore. Okay, that is comes in modules concept. I will talk about it. Don't worry with it. Okay, so let me check any other questions. Satyam, I hope I answered your question. Vishwajit says same name but different data. Yes, true, Vishwajit. Shikawa says remove it from init and give input there. Yes, yeah, that's true. All the way it's correct. Yeah, thank you, Satyam, for confirming that you got everything. So check this class, guys. Check line by line and please question yourself or question to me that did you understood each and every line, because this is the complete program for object oriented program, and encapsulation we completed actually. We completed encapsulation actually. So everything required to learn encapsulation we covered. Okay, Ubul says understood. Thank you, Ubul. Let me just take time, no problem. Take 5 minutes. No, it can be anywhere, guys. It's not necessary to be the first place in it method, but general idea will be the first place because by which it's good that you can see name, account number, and balance got created, but it can be placed anywhere. What does that self dot name is equal to name means? Okay, good. So at this first line, self dot name is equal to name means, okay, when you pass Ubul here, okay, the name, and what it happens now, it will be stored in the second parameter. Name is a local argument like amount. Aditi, name is the, sorry, Anjali, name is the local argument, same like an amount. Okay, and what we are doing is self dot name will create an attribute, and that whatever the name contains, that will be initialized to the attribute. Yeah, because it's a string, other values are integer, Shikavat. When you pass string, you will pass in quotations, and when you pass integer and float, you will pass directly. Okay, so that's the thing from Shikawat. I hope Anjali you got it. The second thing is Abhishek. Can you repeat why cannot we input the attribute? Yeah, because a class does not take data. Abhishek, we learned that class can never be used, and we cannot fill the data inside the class. That's a reason we will not take input method directly inside init. Yeah, Aditi says one small confusion if you don't take name and other values in C2 explicitly. Why C1 values? Sorry, Aditi. Your question was, I can say, good and means big enough to understand, but still, I didn't understood. Like, if we do not take name and other values in C2, you're talking about this thing, this line. Mahipal, I will get back to you. Aditi was asking, it can be like C2 values does not make any changes. Yes, that's true, Satyam. Class different from, so we can separate input of objects. Yes. So we'll always take input, okay, before the object gets created, not inside the class. That is an idea. Okay, an init method is only responsible for taking arguments and initializing them. Otherwise, we also don't know how many attributes are there, guys. Okay, like Ubuntu's balance was getting printed for C2 as well. No, now it's not getting printed, at least now. Low balance is actually printed for Vamshi, actually, not for, it's not the reason for Ubul. Ubul balance is getting printed first. You see that it's not printing this time at least. But suppose he withdraws 1700, he will print low balance. But while printing low balance, I will print the name also, suppose. Then you can see, Aditi, whose balance is printing name. Okay. So now you see that for whom it's printing low balance. It's only print for Vamshi, not for Ubul. Got the point? Yes, there are two different objects, Aditi. You see, first time I'm creating the first object. Okay, this is what happened in the diagram. The first object gets created and C1. And it will fill the name like Ubul, account number, and balance gets filled. Deposit at 500 more, it becomes 1500. Get balance will print that Ubul, your current balance is 1500. Perfect, that's done. Up to here, it's done. Up to here, it's done. Okay, now I'm creating another object now. C2 is equal to bank is a totally different object. There is no relation between C1 and C2 now. There are two different objects, Aditi. And data will also not get mixed up. Data and functionality will also not get mixed up. That's the beauty of encapsulation. Every object will be treated as a single entity. And C1 will have their own data and C2 will have their own data. And using methods like get balance, deposit, withdraw, you can access both C1 data and C2 data. They are separate entities, Aditi. So I hope you should not mix up the thing. Yes, they are two different objects. They are two different objects. So their data is different. No doubt attributes are common, that should be. Okay, like when you go to a bank and fill the data, it will have same forms. Both customer will have the same form, but they will fill their individual data, something like that. Aditi, but still, if you have any questions, you can always ask. Okay. Only thing is, if your question is not get cleared, okay, then because the questions are quite lengthy, I can see sometimes you get tedious of typing and you give up and says, okay, now let it be. So should not be. Anybody, your doubt is not get cleared, you always have a right to speak out also, guys, until your doubt gets cleared. Okay. Or if you wanted to do some research and want to ask doubt for acceptable, just write down on your notebook and then get through with that concept once again and come up with a question, that I can say, because possibly there is by some time I may not understand with your chat. Okay. Because uh, yeah, so Abhishek says, can we print that attributes of only one object even though we create two objects? Yeah, it depends. No, it's not like that. Every object have their own attributes. Like you can printing in the sense. Yes, Aditi, thank you. You'll write down your question, guys. Okay, if it is not get clear, try to find out by yourself so that you'll get some more clarity about that, and then you can come up with the question in some way so that we can answer. And still, if you think that it should be clear at this time, you can always speak, guys. I think that will be the good option we have, that you can speak and you can get your doubts cleared. Okay, so always welcome. Anybody wanted to get your doubt clear can always welcome. Just say me here, so either make your mic on so that you can speak out. Abhishek, I think you also need to like make it little clear, or if you have any doubt, like you can speak out. So print means which? Okay, so don't call the get balance for Vamshi, then it will not print. Don't call the get balance, because get balance is the one which is printing the information. So if you want to print Ubu's information, then call the get balance only on C1. Don't call it in C2. If you call the method, it will print the information, Abhishek. Okay, so that's the thing. So if you call that method, definitely it will print the information of that object. If you don't call the method, it will not print the object. It's up to you which method to be called. Understood? It's something like you're going to ATM machine. If we remove, you will get error, guys. If you remove these lines, you will get error. That's good question from Rajshekhar. Now, as init method is taking 3 parameters, okay, actually 4, including self. So 3 parameter, it is mandatory now you should call with 3 parameters. Now you will get error actually. You'll get error. So you see first it's getting printed, but init method missing 3 required positional argument. So you know that it's a positional argument. So it is mandatory that you should pass that arguments compulsory. Yeah, so can we make optional? Yes, of course. You can give optional value. That's good, guys. You can give optional value, like for example, you wanted to give none, okay, and this you wanted to give 0, and you wanted to give 0. That's perfectly okay. Then you can give default value Satyam. Very good, Satyam has answered Rajshekhar question, but it's very important that you should, if this taking 3 arguments, you must pass 3 argument, because we already learned about required argument and positional argument. Now we made it default. So now if you make it default, yes, Kudal, that's true. Default init method will not call implicitly. No, never, Kudal. Once you make your own method, there will be no default init method gets called. It overrides. We learn there is no function overloading concept, so it gets override. Yes, that's true. In this case, we will not give now, so it will work now. Let's see whether it's working or not. Yeah, none low balance. There is nothing. Like for example, if I just call c2 dot get balance, So you do not get balance. Okay. Now suppose I'm passing also not 1700, just 700. You see what happens now. It says none, your balance is 0. That is becoming low balance or something. Okay. So meaning that we haven't filled the data. So that's why it's giving the wrong information. But we have given some default values. Okay, we have given default value, so that way it will be good. If you wanted to make it compulsory, then you have to make all of them positional or required argument. If you don't want to make it compulsory, then give the default values at least. Same like whatever you learn in functions will be applied here as well. That's why I told you those concepts will be very important. So shall we start the next concept now? Shall we go here and talk about the next concept? Okay, so I will be introducing you the next concept here, which is I'll go for functional programming. So let's see where we are now. Okay, where we are from the beginning, we will see. We started function paradigm, like we started programming paradigm and learn object oriented paradigm. We started discussing. And we discuss everything is an object. Okay, we talked about object in detail. Then we talk about what object program represents real world object have properties. Like if you take an example of customer will have properties like customer id, name, and everything. Like you can create any class now. Like we created a subscriber class, the way we created a bank class. Can you create a customer class now? I hope making programs in object-oriented programming is easy. You just define the attributes and their functionality and make use out of it. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Aditi, for confirming. Thank you, Nitin. Thank you, Vamshi. Let me check with others as well that you understood what is meant by object now. And we also see the definition of an object. Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you, Satyam. So we learn the definition of an object. An object has states, exhibits some well-defined behavior, and has a unique identity. So we created a customer object, we created subscriber object, we can create pen object, we can create book object, anything. Every attribute will have states and behavior. States are nothing but their attributes, and behavior is nothing but the methods, guys. Behavior is like method. Like subscriber has a attributes like name, account name, age, okay, phone number, mobile number. These are the attributes, and behavior is like make call, receive call. If you take bank customer, it will have attributes like name, okay, account number, balance. Functionalities like withdraw, deposit, check balance, get balance, whatever the functionalities. So that's what we define the object. Then we learn class. We learn that class has to be created first. So we seen that whatever we learn theoretically, we implemented practically. Because first we created class, then we created object. And inside the class, you encapsulated everything. You put everything inside the class. So why we created a class? Because we can create objects now. So why you create a bank class? Because you can create customer objects. Why you created a subscriber class? So that you can create subscriber objects you want. Like as number of objects you can create with it. Okay, we learned that classes like template and all, because we don't fill the data. Because of this reason, I'm not taking input inside the class, guys. And also if I take input inside the class, then we don't know how many attributes it gets created. So always it should be accepted inside the script, not inside the class, guys. We should never take input inside the class, because classes can never be used. Okay, we'll not fill the data inside the class. That is one reason. And we can create a person class now, right? And all. So we learn about class. Then we actually started discussing object oriented concepts, and we started with encapsulation. What is meant by encapsulation? We learned that encapsulation means enclosing something, okay, or if as a capsule, the way you enclose that medicine inside the capsule. Similarly, you created a class now, and you put variables and methods inside the class. Do you agree with this encapsulation concept now? Do you agree with this encapsulation concept now? Okay, thank you. So encapsulation means what? Putting methods and variables inside the class. Class is treated like a capsule, as it shows in diagram. Class will treat like a capsule, and whatever you have medicines inside it will be the methods and the attributes. Methods and the attributes. So when you eat capsule, based on the functionality, it will affect your body and it gets cured. Something similar, I created a bank class, I created a subscriber class. It has its own attributes and methods. So when we call those attributes and methods, they get called and they get initialized. Okay, and there is one small thing I would like to add: encapsulation, because without that the encapsulation will be incomplete. Without that the encapsulation will be incomplete. One thing I wanted to add here, like now, can someone change the like we created these three things. We learned that name, account number and balance gets created inside the class. Now can I access that directly outside the class and make it to 0? Can I do that? Suppose someone is accessing outside, now they know the object called C1. Through C1 they are accessing balance and making it to 0. So what do you think? Will the balance become 0 or not? Okay, Shikawat thinks no, it will not affect. Okay, let me check with others as well, whether it will affect or will not affect. Whether it will affect or will not affect. Come on guys, if you understood everything till now, Vamshi also thinks it will not affect. Okay, everybody thinks it will not affect, but actually guys it affects. Okay, it affects because they are not no, it's not about mute. Yeah, it's mutable, and also it's not global. Actually it's not global, so it gets affected. You see, Ubul, your current balance is 500. It's making 0. Actually you deposited 1000, but that became 0. Okay, that became 0 because with that object I'm accessing. So it's breaking encapsulation rule, right? Because encapsulation means bind the data and functionality so that it should avoid misuse from others. So others should not misuse your data. Meaning, yeah, so the data is public here, guys. The data is public. The data is public means it can be accessed outside the class as well. If you want to restrict that, you can make your data as private. How to make the data as private in Python? You use underscores, 2 underscore before that variable name, or I mean to say that attribute name. Then it will become private data. Then it will become private. Okay, then it will become private and nobody can access outside. They can access, but at least they cannot change them. So this is how you declare. Yeah, now the balance cannot be changed. Now the balance will not become this thing. Now let's see, it will work. So when I run this code now, okay, what happens? Okay, it says okay, there we need to do it. Yeah, one more where I have used name. Yeah, so every time I have to use the same thing now, underscore. I cannot access them. So that way I'm declaring the private variables, guys. This is how you declare the private variables in Python. Okay, again the balance, yeah, I'm getting the error now. Okay, balance also need to be used. So perfect. Okay, this line get balance. So I need to change everywhere when I change in one place. So that's what the problem. Now you see that Ubul, your account is 1500. It did not got affected now. It did not got affected now. Got the point, everyone? Even though I'm making balance as 0, it did not got affected because I declare all the attributes as private. So previously it was public, that's why it was accessible outside the class. Now if you don't want that to access outside the class, now you have to declare them as private. So how to declare them as private? With before the name you have to put 2 underscores. That way Python will understand, okay, I have to declare this variable as private. I have to declare this variable as private now. I hope you got it. Did everyone got it? Okay, thank you, Aditi. Yeah, I'll show the output once again. I'll run the output. It's printing Ubul, your current balance is 1500 only. No change. It did not become 0. Why didn't we change in else block after equals to? Where is that, Udit? Oh, I need to change here also. Otherwise, it will not work. I was not withdrawing. That's why it did not say I have to change there also. I have to change there also. As I was not calling withdraw. That's why I didn't got error. If you're thinking like why we did not got error, Udit, because we didn't call the withdraw method. Oh, we're calling the withdraw method, but anyhow, that else part is not getting executed because it was printing low balance, right? So that's why the else part did not got executed. I did not got error. Thank you, Udit. Yeah. And there was a question from Ubul. Sir, we did not change the self dot balance. Yeah. Because else was not getting executed, Ubul. I hope you got it now. That's why it worked. Ubul, will you please confirm that I did not got error here because it was not getting executed. If I don't change here, for example, I do the same thing. Suppose I didn't change and I pass the information now. Okay, Vamshi. And account number is 6789. Okay, I need to put comma. And now I will give 2000 as a balance. 2000 as a balance. Now you will get error, guys. Now it will complain me about that because else will get execute now. Got it, Ubul and Udit? So I forgot to change one line. I did not got error previously because it was not getting executed. Now it's getting executed, so it complained. So it's an interpreter, guys. It's not a compiler. That's what you have to understand. Interpreter goes line by line. If that line does not interpret, you will not get error. It's not like compiler. Compiler will check all the compile time error and gives you at one time. It's not like compiler. It's an interpreter. So interpreter executes line by line. It only gets error if that code is interpreted. If the code is did not got executed, you may not expect the error. So that's why you see that error comes line by line. Error comes line by line. It not shows you all the error at once. So that's the basic difference between a compiler and interpreter. That's different, guys. Methods has underscore underscore init underscore underscore, but attributes will have underscore underscore at the beginning to say it's a private method. I didn't use underscore after the variable name. Method will have underscores on both the way. So that's both are different syntax, Satyam. Don't get confused. Both are different syntax. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Satyam. Let me check. Did you all understood? Yes. Only one time the value will be called in private and cannot be changed. That's true, Udit. That's what I mean by private variables now. Because we completed encapsulation now. I told you we completed encapsulation, but encapsulation will be incomplete without learning private variables. If we give underscore for get balance, what will happen? It becomes a method. See, any method can have underscore, no problem, and any number of underscore, Vamshi. You have to call the same way. You can access. You're not accessing actually. One more attribute is getting created, Aditi, and making 0, but at least the same attribute is not getting changed. You're telling that create me one attribute because attribute can be created there, right? But the actual attribute will not get changed. What we have to use is it underscore private for all our public underscore. Private methods cannot access outside the class. Yes, but doesn't make private, guys, Vamshi. Methods cannot be declared as private. Methods will always be public in Python. Got it, Vamshi? You cannot define methods as private. So before method name, if you give underscore, it will become like the name of the method. So it doesn't mean that private. For only attributes, it makes sense, but not for methods. So thank you, Aditi. Thank you, Vamshi, for your questions. Thank you, Bull. Okay. Anjali confirms that you understood. Thank you, Anjali. Yeah, Nitin also confirms. Let me check with everyone. Did you all understood the encapsulation now? Did you all understood what is encapsulation? Encapsulation means provide security. Okay, we'll talk about polymorphism later on. Okay, we'll talk about it. Next concept, we'll talk about inheritance. But again, it's a big concept, so we'll discuss tomorrow. Okay, and we will conclude the object-oriented programming tomorrow, guys. Yeah, I'll do that, Ubul. It's again, it's not simple topic. Some session we can plan, Ubul. So even I'm planning some weekend sessions, guys. Okay, so where I will discuss some extra topics. Okay, so you can mention here whatever the topics you want me to discuss. I will discuss in a weekend so that only people who are interested, they can be there. Oh, that's like Kudal definitely. Uh, I'll definitely do that, Kudal. Okay, no worry. I'll definitely do. Please just ping me on WhatsApp. Today I have a very busy schedule, but I will do at the end of the day. I'll definitely do that. Yeah, I'll also share the code. Yes, yes, Aditi, we'll do that. Okay, we'll plan that once we complete the syllabus and all. We'll plan some weekend sessions. No worry, especially on Sundays or something or Saturday, so that only interested people will join. That's the idea behind weekends, because regular classes we cannot disturb. So some doubts may have. So interested people can join us. That's the way we go for weekend classes. Okay, and the program you want me to send? Okay, I will send the program now. Okay, you can see here I created this bank class, the same like yesterday, but a few things has been added. Okay, few things has been added. So you can see here I created this class. I think this time I can copy and paste directly. WhatsApp, I need to log in, guys. If you can wait, I will do login from the WhatsApp. I can send in WhatsApp also, but I have to log in. Wait, I'll just get login. Yes, Shikawata, kind of thing. Monsoon offer, you can say. Okay, I'll put the code in WhatsApp now. I hope you got it. Revision session, little tough, Snehal, but we will try, because Python is so vast, Snehal, that we have like we can discuss more concepts if you want. Someday you tell me, like WhatsApp us, like what kind of topic we need to revise. Okay, so that common revision we can do, Snehal. No problem. We can just have some revision session. But you just WhatsApp me like what topic you want. I will quickly review that topic. Okay, not a problem. So this is all for today, guys. I hope you all got it. Yeah, no problem. Okay, we'll do that, Snehal. Only for this programming paradigm, we'll do that someday. We'll have a quick review out of it. Okay. So that is all, guys. We'll talk about inheritance tomorrow. Okay, and we will conclude the object-oriented programming tomorrow. But I told you, functional programming, object-oriented programming, they are subject in itself. So you have to explore these, guys. You have to start working in this area. Okay, because my job is from now to give you a taste of these concepts, because as they are huge. Okay, so as it mentioned in syllabus, we can give you a taste of this thing. Now it's your choice whether you wanted to become an object-oriented programmer, whether you want to become a functional programmer. We cannot force everybody to choose one, so it's totally your option. So that's why you have to explore these concepts in detail. Okay, but whatever you basic things you need to require, we'll give you most of the thing, more than 60-70% we will give you here, and only remaining few things you have to get it, that you can get very easily when you start practicing, guys. When you start writing the programs, when you start implementing object oriented programming, slowly you will get everything. Okay, but still it will not affect, Nitin. Still it will not affect. Yeah, have a nice day, Vishwajit. Okay, thank you, thank you. That's Thank you, Satyam. Your taste got increase in OOPS, but going at AI line, I reach about that functional programming. Yes, you need to go more in functional programming, because in AI, because if your interest is machine learning and AI, then the next sessions are quite important for you all, because next I'm going to start a prerequisite for machine learning and AI. The next topic what we will be starting from Monday is prerequisite for machine learning and AI. Okay, so any, like most of you, I hope interested here for machine learning and AI. So that next week will be very crucial for you all. Thank you all. Okay, I will suggest some book, Krishna. I will send you some book for functional programming. Okay, yeah, you too, stay safe. Vishwajit, stay home, everyone. Basically, data science requires procedural and functional programming, Aditi. But we sometimes we see that people implements in object oriented as well. Now it's to you, Aditi, whichever the paradigm you want, you can use it. But mostly it's functional and procedural, Aditi. So if you know functional and procedure, you can learn data science, not required OOPS for that. But other thing, like when you want to go for web designing and other things, like you wanted to go for testing, automation and all, then you required OOPS as well. So having a knowledge in all is always good. At least whatever we are doing, if you have that much knowledge, it's okay. It's possible, Satyam, but people never use that, because if we can do with functional and procedural, they never use it. But somewhere it may be possible that you have to use OOPS as well, because it's a real time, so it have to be used. Yes, you need to have a knowledge of both, compulsory. At least whatever we are learning, just have a knowledge of that. Explore more on functional programming and procedural programming, so that you can just get into data science and machine learning. Okay, so this is all for today, guys. We'll take a leave now. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow with conclusion of OOPS concept. So that fresh topic will start from next week. Like can you tell me like what topics, Satyam? Yeah, tomorrow we have a class for this thing. Like, if you can tell me what, like basic procedural oriented programming, we'll learn how to create procedures. Yeah, thank you, Aditi. Have a great day ahead. If you can tell me, I will justify that, Satyam, like what you're talking about, some basics and all. I will justify, because from the day one, we are implementing in a procedural fashion only. So maximum time we have spent writing the programs in a procedural way. Okay, we last week only we introduced functional oriented programming. Yeah, that's what. Whatever you learn is actually you implemented from day one is a procedural paradigm. Actually, procedural is a good way, Udit, or object oriented. Both the way you can start as a basic way, no problem. Both are different, right? Procedural and this object oriented. Please go through with functional programming. There are a lot of videos available, means some workshops, I can say, where they are explaining that how important this functional programming will be these days. So one request for everyone, like explore functional programming, guys. It's very interesting and big in demand. So possibly I will forward you some links. Please go through with that, so that you'll get some clarity, like what is exactly functional programming. So it's big in demand these days. It was like early days, it was very much in demand, but after object oriented programming, it loses its like demand and all, but now it's getting more popular now. Okay, it was popular when you like before you born or something like that, or before we born, that time it was very popular, or at least we are uh, like child those days, so that time it was very popular. Okay, when we started learning it was an era of object oriented programming, so we learn object oriented programming and all. Okay, procedural oriented programming, object oriented programming, but now the functional programming is coming in demand. That's why